Okay, so I think we are live.
Yes, we are.
Okay, looks good. All right. So, hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Well, I'm assuming you're joining us because we are on StreamYard today, thanks to LinkedIn. So we can't actually see you. So we are hoping you're there. So if you are, please put a quick hello in the comments. Let us know that you're with us. That would be lovely. Okay, so assuming it's all working and that you can hear us okay, we are here to talk about embracing your second spring today. And for those of you who don't know, this is the how in traditional Chinese medicine they refer to the menopause transition. So before we get into the conversation, I'm going to quickly introduce myself, give you a couple of tips for helping you shift your mindset if you're struggling. And then I am going to let the lovely Sara introduce herself to you. We're going to be chatting about how a positive mindset can actually help you with your menopause symptoms, some practical tips on things you can do if you're struggling, and how you can prepare for the menopause transition if you're not there yet. So Sara is going to be talking to you about how to use your wardrobe with intention, developing a conscious styling approach, and how your wardrobe can support you with your symptoms. And I am so excited to be chatting with you, Sara, today. I know you're going to leave us all very inspired. So we are also going to leave a little bit of time towards the end of the session today. So if anybody here has got any questions or thoughts or comments or anything you want to say as we go through, please do share them with us in the comments. We will do our best to go through them towards the end. So, and then finally, just to say, if you stay on the call until the end today, so we're aiming to be finished anywhere between 1:15, we both have an offer to share with you. So it's only going to be valid for the people who have joined us here live today. So do stay with us. Okay, so let's get on with it. So I know that some of you already know me, but for those who don't, I'm Angela Wilkins-Green. I'm a mindset coach and a licensed menopause champion. As a mindset coach, I work with women in their 40s and 50s who are in or approaching the menopause transition. So they're either perimenopausal normally or postmenopausal, but they find themselves struggling with some of the psychological symptoms that can arise at this time. So that includes symptoms such as anxiety, loss of confidence, brain fog, memory lapses. And of course, all of these can cause us to feel a bit lost or very lost in some cases and struggle to find our sense of identity and direction. For many women, they actually just generally feel a lack of energy, or for some, really struggling to find the joy in life. So then in my work as a licensed menopause champion, I work with organisations, schools and colleges to provide training on the subject of menopause. And I work with both women and men to help them understand what menopause is, why it happens, and how we can help ourselves and those around us through education, and what organisations can do to support their female employees and allow them to continue to thrive and be successful in their place of work. So you might be able to tell already, but I am very passionate about my work in this field. It was my experience of perimenopause and my lack of knowledge on the subject, which meant that I ignored my symptoms for about 2 years before they completely took over me mentally and physically. And then they resulted in me leaving a fantastic job and, in all honesty, turning me into a ball of anxiety and fear. And it was a really horrible experience, which none of us should have to go through. And so, of course, now I focus my efforts on trying to inform women of what menopause is, what they might experience and what they might feel, and what they can do to help themselves. Often with the psychological symptoms of menopause, it's the underlying thoughts and feelings that we already hold that are exacerbated. And so I focus on the mindset shifts that women need to move forward and feel great again. So on that note, before I hand over to Sara, so sorry, you're going to listen to me for a few more minutes. I just wanted to share with you a couple of tips for helping to start shifting your mindset. So at the beginning of each day, I just want you to start by taking a minute or two to check in with your body. Ask yourself, How do I feel today? If you're short on time, do it when you're in the shower or making your breakfast or making the kids pack lunches. Whatever you can do, it's fine. Just try and find a couple of quiet minutes when the kids aren't screaming at you. But don't accept the first thought that comes into your head, which more often than not is likely going to be on the negative side. So I'm stiff, I've woken up and I've got a headache, or I'm tired, or I didn't sleep very well. Instead, take a minute or two to check in with what your body is telling you. Do a body scan. Start at the crown of your head, work all the way down to the tips of your toes. What are the sensations that you are feeling? What emotions are coming up for you? Really tune into what you're feeling rather than just what you're thinking. Once you've done that, just acknowledge it. Just accept it. Don't try to do anything with it. No judgment is necessary. Then set your intention for the day. It doesn't have to be anything big. If you're feeling negativity in any way, it might just simply be that you're going to get through today the best you can. It might be you're going to smile at the first person you see in the street today, or just that you're going to give that meeting you've got today your best shot, or no expectations, just positive intention. This practice slowly over time and when repeated daily will begin to alter the way you wake up and feel each day. And then at the end of the day, try practicing gratitude. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not a big fan of the word gratitude. It tends to get met with people, rolling their eyes and, oh, what's she talking about? But believe me, it does work. So give it a try. So at the end of the day, write down or say out loud into your phone, if that's what works for you, anything that you can think of that you are grateful for today. However small or insignificant it might seem at first. But the more you do it, the easier it becomes to think of things. And then each day, your list just gets longer. It just gets easier and easier. So if you do it before you go to sleep each night, you're ensuring that you're going to sleep with positive thoughts rather than worries or stresses of the day. So this should also start to help with more rested sleep patterns. And then, of course, you wake up and you feel more energized, you feel more positive. But I warn you, you've got to be patient. Doing it for a couple of nights is not enough. So try to be consistent, do it as often as you can and make it a habit over time. There's no quick wins. It just takes time and consistency. Okay, so that is more than enough from me for now. I am going to hand over to the lovely Sara, who is going to introduce herself and tell us a bit more about what she does.
So thank you very much, Angela. I love the scanning thing because it's something that actually does resonate with me a lot. It's a big part of the styling session from a conscious styling perspective, I do with my clients, because you're right. Scanning, it's the most complicated things ever because you don't have to criticize. You should actually just focus on what is real, on the reality. Today, I feel X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
You don't put anything on top of that. It's like my body does look like XYZ. It's not, it should be thin, it should be tallish, blah, blah, blah. All the narratives, isn't it? So thank you for that, because it was like, oh no, we are on the same page. That's why we are here. Anyway, so for the one who don't know me yet, or don't remember exactly who I am and what I do, I'm Sara Ibrahim. Nice to meet you all. And I love introducing myself as a style interpreter. What does it mean? So I help mainly women, 40 plus, interpreting themselves into clothes. Unfortunately, there's this very annoying idea, I'm sorry to be honest, that clothes are superficial, they are trivial, they are vain, but clothes are extremely important when it comes to well-being. So it doesn't mean that we have to turn ourselves into fashion addicted, but it's just using them consciously and try to find the way to support us, especially, and this is the big target group of beautiful women I have the pleasure to work with, especially during certain, let's say, challenging moments, in our lives, like perimenopause and menopause, where the constant narrative and stories, and thought is, Sara, who is this person? I don't recognize this person anymore. On top of that, I hate this person. I don't like it. I dislike it, blah, 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 blah. I don't know if it does resonate with you. Thank you for sharing the link of my LinkedIn profile. So in there, you can find a lot of posts about how to transition through this kind of moments, starting from a better understanding on what should you wear to support your needs, especially during perimenopause and menopause. I work with private clients, I work in corporate, within the well-being, in the corporate and in the workplace. So as you can imagine, dressing something that is extremely comfortable with our need, it's that extra mile that can help us to feel, not just look, but feel and potentially look on top. So this is what I do.
Amazing. And it's so important, isn't it? It's just, it changes the way you feel about yourself in the day.
Oh my God.
When
Yes.
you really make that effort. And you know, there's days where I know I definitely don't make an effort, and I always know I feel so much better about myself, so much stronger about myself when I have put something on that makes me feel good. And I think we all have those things in the wardrobe that you put them on.
You know what, Angela, let me start breaking some stereotypes, because what I would like to do today, guys, it's really going deeper. Those kind of stereotypes, you know, I've been listened to for ages now. Fashion is complicated. Fashion needs a lot of effort. No, it's not that. If you have the knowledge, you fly. And you don't have to follow, you know, the trends. So you don't feel that kind of, I have to wear certain clothes, otherwise I would not be treated, you know, in a certain way. Does it make sense? So it gives you freedom, just with a little hint.
Amazing. It really does. I love that. I love that about the freedom. I think that's such an important point. We've had some questions actually. Shall I start with a couple of questions that we've had?
Yes,
and some of these are
yes,
questions that came through before the session, which was lovely of people to do that. So one of the questions is, how do you help your clients set up intentions with their wardrobe during their menopause journey?
So as you mentioned, set up intentions, you know, and as far as understood, you are focused on that as well from your perspective, is a very important, it's a useful starting point. So starting intention from a conscious styling perspective, it means every time you stand in front of your wardrobe, you know what is going on in there. It's not feeling that overwhelming and feeling all over the places, because you either own too much, you either own the wrong things. And it's not wrong because clothes are wrong or fashion is wrong. It's just because potentially they don't flatter you anymore. Simple as that. No drama. Seriously. Oh, Sara, I used to fit into XYZ. I look beautiful. Yes, but that's the past. Let's start focusing on the present. Fortunately, unfortunately, we change. The body changed, the mindset changed, everything. Thank God our lives change. Can you imagine just stick on the same chapter for 85 years, 90 years? Oh my God. So when you open the wardrobe, or wherever you keep your clothes, it could be a chest of drawers, it could be the armchair, you know, next to the bed, wherever, on the floor. I've seen everything, you know. So wherever you keep your clothes, you should recognize yourself into that. You should recognize your routine life. So you open, you stand in front of this area, you know exactly what is going on. So you have a system in place. The system is like when you go shopping grocery, you have a list. And you potentially know exactly the departments, isn't it? Because you know the supermarket. The same when it comes to your wardrobe. The same, exactly the same in terms of you open the wardrobe, you know, I have this on the left, I have that on the right side, I have something else on the bottom, I have this kind of outfits, but I know how to play with them. I know how to make crossing over. You know everything. It's not that acknowledge. It's not something that it's something that you don't know. This question mark. This, oh my God, I should have a blazer, but who knows where is it? I should blah blah blah, but you don't remember because you don't see it. That's why placing a system in place is extremely important, because you know exactly where to find what you need. So all that kind of narrative, you stand in front of your wardrobe and you start thinking, oh, look at me now. I used to be much better. You see, I don't see that. I don't know where is that place. Oh, do you remember the dress? Blah, blah, blah. So you spend half an hour thinking of something that it doesn't really help you right now. You waste your time, your energy, your mood is going to be the worst you can get, and it's just the beginning of the day.
I can really relate to that. Not necessarily for my everyday, but when there's an occasion, when I'm, going networking, when I'm going out meeting new people, absolutely. There is a whole, how many outfits do you try on before you end up with something that you might not necessarily be really happy with, but actually.
Exactly, Angela. That's the point. You shouldn't spend. I always say that to my clients. If you stand in front of your wardrobe, or wherever you keep your clothes, more than 1 minute, and I'm not joking, the drama starts. The overthinking, the negativity, too many thoughts. No, you don't, especially during perimenopause and menopause, because we know the symptoms and we know everything. You will tell us more about that also. No, we have to be very smart, very academic.
Yeah. Having those things in your wardrobe that, just don't fit you anymore. They're not actually doing you any favors by keeping onto them and pretending that we're going to fit into them one day. It's just actually making life much more difficult for us.
Let's face it, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't, if you're struggling with putting on weight, I'm not saying that you shouldn't lose weight. I will support you if that's the case. I'm just saying that you have to face the reality. And the reality is your body is different. Just different.
Yeah. And it's that acceptance piece, isn't it? And being happy with that acceptance. I talk about acceptance a lot. So yeah, that's really interesting. I have another question here for you. I'm not sure if you've touched on this a little bit, but we'll see what you think. So how do you usually help your clients to develop a conscious styling approach during menopause?
So step number 1, maybe for someone might sound a little bit obvious, but maybe no, we will see. You tell me if you have any thought, share with us. As Angela said, the chat box is open for you to share whatever you want, guys. So focusing on the proportions, acknowledging how your proportions look like. I never, I promise you, talk about sizes. It doesn't even, I don't even actually mention the word size. And I tend to help actually my lovely ladies to stop thinking sizing and try to develop a different understanding, a different approach. As you said, you scan starting from head to toe. So you just acknowledge, okay, so my head looks like this. Stop. It's not better, it's not worse. It's just my head. If I measure, the head, or if I start focusing on the hair compared to the shoulder area, for instance, the torso area, the arms, the legs, the bottom. We have a combination of elements, isn't it? We are not simply, that kind of 8, 10 number.
Yeah.
The fashion system, because they are business and they have to sell, let's face it, that's fine. And they need some guidelines. So, when you get into a shop, I'm a size whatever. So you go to that rail, right, to that section. And then you realize that your size is completely different than the same size from some other brands or whatever. And you get completely lost. Always, because every brand has a specific guideline. And I tell you, because I've been working with brands on the back, so what I'm saying, it trust me, it's how it works in the business. That's it.
Yeah.
But if you try to switch into a better understanding of your structure, so where the belly button sits, that's extremely important, because you know exactly the proportions between the upper part of your body and the bottom part of your body. If you have to prefer high rise, for instance, you know exactly, because sometimes I say, yes, Sarah, but this high rise, how can I decide, how can I pick the right one? It does sit on your belly button. That's it, high rise. Fine.
Okay.
Your leg. So it's all about, I spend a lot in terms of numbers. We measure our, our areas. I help, my clients in that. And they take minutes, they take pictures. So every time they go shopping, kind of reminder, I'm this combination of numbers and figures. I'm not one letter, small, medium, tiny. So
I
acknowledging
it's
fundamental.
Because I only know what size I am. If you were to ask me what is my waist measurement, I would not be able to tell you, which often is a problem when you're buying jeans.
Exactly, that's normal. So when people say, I love jeans, thank you for pointing out, because jeans is a big thing. It's a big issue. Finding the right jeans that flatter, blah, blah, blah. Jeans, I love jeans, but I hate them because I can't find any right. Well, because potentially you buy low rise and they don't really flatter your body shape or your body proportions. Simple.
Yeah. Very interesting. Okay, I have one last question for you. So this lady who sent this in, she struggles with hot flashes and her weight fluctuating. So she was wondering how your approach can help her with that.
So, hot flashes, it's definitely extremely important focusing on the fabrics. So despite the temperature out there, you have to focus first on your internal temperature. And that combination, and I mean, acknowledging that, it's extremely important to choose the right fabric. So cotton, for sure, it's good, but you can prefer bamboo, for instance, silk, right? A blended mixture, between silk and cotton is extremely, I mean, it's amazing. It's the best you can find. Bearing in mind, anything you place, on your skin, it does affect on your sweaty moment, right? On your hot flashes, and let me be honest, on your mood as well. Because I have a lot of clients come and say, you know what, Sara, I stopped wearing certain clothes because I was thinking of, oh my God, of the marks. And I couldn't actually, just focusing on that during a meeting, for instance, just stop thinking of what I was saying to my colleagues because the panic, just rise in my head by, oh my God, the marks under my, arms or in here. This is another very interesting, area, in the boob area, right? Or here. So you have to be very careful when it comes to the fabrics. Also layering is extremely important. My clients make fun of me. They say, "Also, Sara, how many layers today?" Someone calls me the king, the king, the queen of layers, right? I've been into layers since I remember, even before moving to London. In London, because of the weather, I refined, this technique, because who knows what is going to happen. 5 seasons in half an hour, So you have to be prepared. So during hot flashes, during menopause is that. 1 minute, you're fine. The minute after, you're completely like, where I am, Cuba on the beach. Oh my God, let's open all the windows and stuff like that. So you have to be very careful in the layering, and layering, it makes, on top of that, let me say, it makes your, if you know how to do it, it makes your outfit very interesting. Because it's like, oh, look at that, 3 layers. So what is going on underneath? Oh, 3 colors different. You know what I mean? So it's that kind of twist wise.
That is really interesting. And for me,
no, you tell me.
I was just going to say, there's lots of you get the hot flashes, but for some women, and this is definitely a thing for me, is getting cold flashes is also a thing. So I actually spend a lot of my time cold rather than hot. So, you can see I've got a really hot face today while we're doing this.
Yeah.
But actually, my body, I'm shivering. I'm quite cold, and so that's a real issue. So that for me is where your point about layering becomes really important. So I probably got too many layers on, really, but I know that I need them because
I know.
I'm freezing cold, and the next I'm boiling hot. So interesting.
You know what, Angela? I'll just add this bit. Don't use the layering to hide yourself. And I'm not saying you, but I'm saying everybody, because unfortunately, that's another element. People who use layering to hide. You should layering to embrace. Does it make sense?
Yes. Love that. Love that.
Because otherwise you feel, the bulky moment. Oh, Sara, layering makes me big. Well, if you use it as a way to hide, not as a way to embrace and to boost certain areas of your body. And we go back to the proportions. If you don't know your proportions, I'm sorry, you don't go further.
Sara, I need you in my life.
I tell you, I'm everyone's best friend.
You are. I definitely need you to teach me about that.
Let me make fun of myself.
Thank you. I think that's all the questions I've got for you at the minute. So if anybody listening has got more questions for Sara, then please do pop them in the chat and we will try to come to them at the end. We're nearly at half an hour, so we've got about 15 minutes left.
So we've been talking switching into different mindsets, at least this is something that it's one of the most important ingredients when it comes to conscious styling, for instance. But I'm a question, when it comes to your perspective, we can definitely, focus on mindset, isn't it? So I have questions for you as well. I got some questions. Promoting the webinar on LinkedIn, I got some question coming, through people who couldn't attend, or they were really, really into getting the answer before attending the webinar. So question number 1 for you is, how can you manage actually your mindset? Let's go back to the core. Support your menopause symptoms.
Yeah. Well, believe it or not, for me, mindset's everything. I truly believe that. And don't get me wrong, there is loads that we can be doing physically to support our symptoms, focusing on our diet, nutrition, exercise, your sleep, considering herbs, supplements that might support us. And then obviously there's HRT. So that's a major factor in supporting symptoms. It definitely is for me. I'm on HRT. I'm not saying I will be forever, but it's certainly one of the things that's helping me. And all of these things are really important to consider, test for yourself. You've got to go through that. You've got to go through all of those things, see what works for you, test it. I actually do include a 1-hour menopause session if anyone that signs up with my coaching program. So I always do an additional 1 hour with people to discuss the menopause symptoms, if that's helpful to them, just to discuss what symptoms are affecting you and, you know, how we go through your options, basically. But working on my mindset has been the game changer. It's the game changer in how I feel. I won't say every day, but most days. For me, anxiety, lack of confidence, they are the symptoms that showed up the worst for me. I really did feel like I had lost myself completely. And I realized it had probably been always an element of anxiety and lack of confidence in me. I don't think anyone else could ever see it. You know, people would tell me how confident I looked, especially at work, you know, but I really never believed it. Yeah, I just never believed it myself. And I definitely did let it hold me back in my decision making. You know, I'd tell myself all the reasons why I couldn't or shouldn't do something. And that word shouldn't is like, for me, it's the thing. So I never use it now. If it comes up in my mind, I say it out loud. You know, I really do sort of give myself a talking to now, because I really make an effort not to use that word should, because we shouldn't ever feel that we have to do something. So now it's caused no surprise to me that when my hormones started fluctuating, my weak spots were outed. And it was like they went in for the kill, saying, we know where we can hit you the hardest, you know, and they really did. So although HRT has without doubt gone a long way to make me feel better, I was able to recognize that those underlying feelings of anxiety just weren't going to go away on their own, because I recognized they'd always been there. They were waiting to pounce. They were just dealt with, basically. So with your mindset, it's the stories that you tell yourself every day that are either going to support you and nurture you, or they're going to continue to feed that negative energy. And that feeding can be really dangerous because, of course, over time, they build up. And what you tell yourself, you begin to believe. So I think working on the stories that we tell ourselves is vital for changing the messages that our brain is receiving, and not just blindly believing what our mind is trying to tell us every day, but instead retraining it to hear the positive messages that we're going to start to feed it. This is not easy, and definitely it does not happen overnight. But in time, these tiny repetitive daily steps, they make a huge difference to your psychological symptoms. And I promise you, you will start to feel so much better. And I did just want to add, if that's okay, that when you start working on your mind, you're more likely to stick to the physical challenges that you might be setting yourself. You know, so if you're promising yourself that you're going to go to the gym, or you're going to go for a walk, or you're going to go for a run, or you're going to start your yoga classes, or whatever your thing is that you want to start doing more regularly physically, you are more likely to be able to stick with them if you're also working on your mindset. We often start with the physical, but we actually just need them to be working together, because we all know that going for a walk in nature every day will do us the world of good. Once we've been out, we feel great. But getting out in the first place is the first hurdle. So working on that mindset to get us there is like, that's where we've got to start.
Very, very, very good.
Yeah.
Well done. So apparently I have another question for you.
Okay.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
So what can women do who are struggling with the loss of confidence? So you already mentioned a little bit, but I don't know, you have something else, anything else to add, for instance?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I did. I gave a couple of tips right at the beginning in terms of the gratitude and doing the body scan, etc. And I think practicing daily habits is just the best thing you can do, because you're just training your mind. And I just think it's hugely uplifting. Like the gratitude thing is just a game changer if you can start to do that. But one other way you can do it is to celebrate your wins. So believe it or not, you probably have loads of wins throughout your day, but you probably don't even notice them because they're probably really small things, or, you know, things that you do regularly. So if you can get into a practice of noticing them and acknowledging them and then celebrating them, that is going to help to boost your confidence. Because by doing this, you're allowing yourself to actually be proud of yourself. Something that you might never say about yourself. I certainly was never able to say that I was proud of myself. That just wouldn't be something I would think to do. But it's a really positive message to be giving yourself. And people do find this one really hard. So, you know, to start with, try and carve out a few minutes towards the end of your day. You could even do it at the same time or instead of the gratitude practice if you're really struggling to find the time to do it. But aim to write down 5 things that you can celebrate about yourself today. And it's going to be hard at first because you're probably not used to thinking about yourself in this way. So you might only be able to come up with 2 or 3 to start with. That's absolutely fine. It doesn't matter. It's about practicing kindness to yourself. So try not to overthink it. Don't judge yourself. Just write down whatever comes into your mind. It might be that you got your kids to school on time, you took a lunch break today and you felt really good because you'd had a break, you helped an old lady cross the road, you made it to your new yoga class and you had your dinner with your husband. You know, simple things, but they make you feel good, you know. So the point is, it's just whatever you want to celebrate and you'll be able to read them back out loud to yourself, you know, so that you want to be able to say them out loud and make you feel good. You want them to bring a smile to your face. You want them to make you laugh. You want your heart sing. It's just about showing that kindness and respect. And then the more you do it, the easier it becomes and you start to feel proud of yourself. And it's just building up over time, that self-esteem and that self-confidence. So, and instead, you're not then beating yourself up for all the things that you haven't done, which is where we tend to go normally. So that's one thing I would really encourage people to go out and try doing.
Love that. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you very much. But it's not the end.
Okay.
Ready? So are you ready for number 3? Because I got this question. I really like that because I think it's like, we have been through a lot of tips, but this one, I think it's fundamental because we are talking to who are not in perimenopause yet. So how can we, you know? So is there anything these people, I mean, these women can do just to potentially face, you know, this transition the easiest, the better? The best.
Yeah. So people that aren't perimenopausal yet, but wanting to know what they can do. This is such an important point, and I do always try and encourage women to listen and tune into their bodies before we get there, so that when I get the opportunity to talk to these women, it's such an important thing to think about, because most of us go around blindly just not noticing what our bodies are trying to tell us, and I definitely was one of these women. But our bodies are constantly trying to send us messages, and ideally we should be listening to them. Like if you have a headache, we don't tend to ignore it when we've got a headache. We take action, we do something to try and ease the headache. So in the years ahead of becoming perimenopausal, that's usually in your 30s or maybe your early 40s, if you're not experiencing the symptoms yet, just try to keep a check on what your normal feels like. And I know that sounds like a really strange thing to say, because if it's normal, then you think, well, what is there to think about? But it's actually just understanding what's going on for you on a regular basis. So keeping a record of what your monthly cycle is. How long does your cycle last? Is your cycle regular? At any time in your cycle, do you get regular aches or pains, or, you know, things that you've always experienced? So does your mood change at certain times of the month, or is your libido?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, do you have pain during intercourse? These are all things that women don't tend to talk about, but we shouldn't be embarrassed to talk about them. It's completely normal. And when you do talk about it, you realize you're really not on your own. We've all got these things going on. So And of course, you can use an app. You can use an app to try and track your cycle now. There's loads of them out there. You know, I think you can use Fitbit. Definitely you can use the Balance app. So there's different apps you can do to help you track all of this stuff. And of course, I know it's difficult because I keep giving you things to do in your day and you're already busy. But starting to look after yourself now and putting yourself first is probably the most single important thing that you can do. Looking after your mind and body, make it your number one priority. Have your non-negotiables that are, you know, about your well-being. Because if you look after yourself now, it's not going to feel like a chore when your body starts to demand that you look after it, and your body will at some point start to demand that you look after it. You know, it's just about setting the foundations for a healthy, stable transition, because we can't control how our hormones are going to affect us when they start to fluctuate. There's nothing you can do about it. It's going to happen, and it's going to affect us all differently. But if your mind and your body are in a good place, believe me, it's going to make it so much easier. I hope that answered the question.
Bravo! Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you very much. Thank you. And I hope everybody
thank you. Yeah,
thank
you. I can see we've had a few comments coming through, which is lovely. Thank you so much for all of those. I don't think we've had. We had one question from Nicola, which I have to read out for you. She's so brilliant. And this is, what if your belly button has disappeared under the rolls of fat? What would you suggest? Love it. Just so love it and accept it for what it is.
Just love it. And you know, I love it because it's real. Real,
absolutely.
Honest. Well done, Nicola. Well done.
Yeah.
So you move it. You move the roll. You move the roll and you will find it. I'm sure you will find it because it's still there. It's still there 100%, you know. Or maybe you lie down, you know, on the bed. I'm not joking. You lie down on the bed, touch actually your midsection, and you try to figuring out where is your belly button. You take a picture, maybe so you know exactly, oh, it sits here. So every time you go shopping or you start, you know, reanalyzing, you know, your body shape, you know, oh, I don't see it, but I know that's there.
Yeah, lovely. All right, so thank you everybody for the comments in the chat, really appreciate it. Before we finish, if you have a couple of minutes, we would love to know what has been most useful for you today. You know, what action are you going to take away? I'd love to know if there's been anything really useful to you. I hope there has been lots in there that's been good. As promised, we both have an offer for you for anybody that joined live today. So Sarah, did you want, Sara, I'm sorry, I've done that twice now, Sara. Do you want to tell us about your offer?
So just for you, I had this offer. So it's 50% off on 1 hour body shape or core analysis. You can decide, but let me be honest. If you never had a body shape sessions, please start from the body shape. And then you potentially, you know, think of colors. But color analysis is quite, how can I say, well known. I mean, people, generally speaking, know more about color analysis than body shape analysis. So that's why I strongly, you know, I kindly, let me say, suggest you to go for the body shape just as a starting point. So you should book it by Sunday the 21st. So you can send me an email, or you can get in touch with, here we go. We have Instagram, Sima Stylist London, or LinkedIn. The LinkedIn profile, it was on the banner before.
There we go.
Here we go. And it's back. Perfect. Thank you, Angela. So feel free to get in touch with me. So if you book it by Sunday 21st, it's yours.
Amazing. That sounds so good. Thank you for sharing. I have one for you too. So if you're interested in any of my one-to-one coaching services or my menopause workshops, I'm offering 20% off the price if you have booked your free consultation with me by the end of April. So send me a DM, email me. You can visit my website, greenpathcoaching.com, and you'll find all the information of my services on there, and you can contact me for prices. So I think that's it. Literally on time, 45 minutes. I hope you all enjoyed the session and got loads to take away from it. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Sara, for joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you today. And have an amazing afternoon, everybody. Thank you. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.